Hi everyone, and welcome back to Learn Business with Jade, the channel where I share the tips and tricks and things I've learned along the way while building my tall fashion brand Rosanna London. And today, in the final episode of season 1, I'll be talking about entrepreneurship and mental health. So I know I mentioned quickly in the intro about this being the last episode of the season. In the next video I will kind of explain why I'm doing this in seasons, but for now, if you remember all the way back to episode 1, my first video, I mentioned that a key thing in the 5 things I wish I knew before starting a brand, I mentioned the importance of having a community of other like-minded people, of other brand owners, other entrepreneurs, especially in the fashion space. And this is really important. I guess the main reason why it's important is to know that you're not alone. And with social media being a highlight reel, you look at everyone and think, oh my days, they've got 1 million of orders, they got this, they got that, and meanwhile you're like crying at your sewing machine. It's so important that these people can be like, oh wow, I was crying too, you know, so you kind of are on the same wavelength. This is all kind of going to relate and come into the whole video about mental health and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is very triggering, or it's a very conducive environment for bad mental health. Key things as kind of the work-life balance can often not be there at all. A lot of times you are pursuing your passion, so the kind of thing that you'll do after work, after 9 to 5, has now become your 9 to 5, and therefore it can become your midnight to midnight, your 24/7, and that's not very conducive for good quality sane mental health, especially if you're like myself and like a lot of fashion entrepreneurs doing it solo. All the pressure is on you, and you sometimes feel that you're kind of letting yourself down, maybe even letting your family and friends down. But I know for me personally, when things don't go exactly to plan, I often feel like I'm letting myself down, and it can be extremely isolating. So these kind of like high pressure, isolating kind of conditions, they are very conducive for bad mental health. So you need to be super aware and super careful to kind of put things in place to avoid you going down the rabbit hole of bad mental health and not positive mental health. I'm trying to find a good way to say it, but basically your mental health can just go to crap if you're not careful. This definitely did happen to me, and a key thing with this channel is, and also why I called it Learn Business with Jade, you guys are learning along with me, and I'm kind of teaching you things or just really feeding back on my journey. And after, I'll definitely say that a combination of things, but a key thing was Rosanna and my brand did contribute to me not having really great mental health at one point in my life. And I want to speak about this because this is something that I've noticed with other people like me, other fashion entrepreneurs, other young women in fashion trying to make it big and trying to have our mark on the world. A lot of the time the pressure can be external, so either from investors, from customers, from family and friends, but also internal. As a creative, as an entrepreneur, as just someone trying something new. There's a saying that entrepreneurship is like jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down. You are jumping knowingly into the unknown, and therefore it is high pressure and it is high stakes. It can be like financially high stakes as well. So it's really important to kind of take these things into consideration to make sure you have good positive mental health. If you're not healthy, if your mental health is not healthy, your brand just won't run. And so all these things you're sacrificing for your brand would then end up with you not having a brand at all to run in the first place. So it's just really important to kind of take these things into consideration. So first of all, running a business or a brand is difficult because all the responsibility is on you. And as you grow, you actually have more responsibility and more stress. So for example, with this whole COVID situation, as someone that's kind of me, myself and I with the brand, I didn't have any employees. So on one hand, this made it more difficult because trying to get product out, it can be really difficult, especially during this period where I've having to wait for manufacturers. But also if I had employees, I might have had to let some people go and these kind of things. So as you grow, as you get the success you're waiting for, it actually comes with more responsibility and more stress. That's completely normal and it's logical and it makes sense. So don't be feeling isolated in that fact. So secondly, tears, frustration, anger, all these kind of emotions are very normal, because it can be super frustrating when things don't go to plan. Even if it's just you and your sewing machine and you've got 100% control on supply, you're not making the fabric, you're not a fabric mill. You don't know whether someone like one of the couriers or the shipping people could lose your package. You can't control that. So because of this, it's really important to just try and protect your mental health, and don't kind of put fail safes in place to avoid these kind of issues. So for example, give yourself a bit of extra time. If you're doing pre-orders and you know that the stock is going to come in on the 5th, for example, say to the customers you're going to ship stuff out on the 10th, just give yourself a bit of extra time. All the kind of things you can put in place to prevent issues and prevent you being extra stressed. Now, something crazy like COVID could happen, and you can't prepare for that. No one did, no one could. So you also have to kind of be kind to yourself, speak to yourself like a friend, and especially when you're your own boss, also give yourself time off. Treat yourself also like an employee. Treat yourself kindly, because you can be super tough and super mean essentially to yourself if you're not careful. Number 1, I try to work set hours. So for example, I work a 9 to 5, which I will speak about in the next season, about balancing that. But I finish work 5, half 5. I start work with Rosanna from 6 to 10. Half 9, quarter 9, 10 o'clock, I close my laptop. I keep my laptop upstairs in the office just so I don't end up working in bed, because what has happened in the past, and what I have to try my best to avoid, is lack of sleep. This kind of hustle culture is not very healthy, essentially, but very common and very encouraged in the entrepreneurship community. Key things that will be red flags for bad mental health: lack of sleep, lack of appetite, kind of short tempers, things like that, that are kind of trigger warning, red signs, or kind of like big warning flags for bad mental health, are praised in the entrepreneurship community. You'll hear people boast and be praised for only sleeping 3 hours a night for the first year of their business as they're building, and these kind of things. Whereas in any other scenario, in any other field apart from entrepreneurship, this is like, hold on, that's not really great, that's actually a bad sign, but it's kind of praised. And you have to be very careful of this hustle culture and kind of protecting yourself from these unrealistic expectations. For example, for me, especially someone that works from 9 to 5, if I only have 3 hours sleep and then I go to work, my previous role where I did a lot of driving, if I'm sleeping 3 hours a night because I'm working on my business after work, I could kill someone or kill myself. So you have to be careful to not kind of feed into those unrealistic expectations, those unhealthy habits. So just kind of put stuff in place to kind of stay regimented and have a structure, especially when you're running your own business and you're your own boss, where there is no clock in, clock out time. There's no manager checking what you're doing. You have to kind of have those practices in place and stay regimented. Keep a timetable and stick to those. Secondly, what's helped me is thinking of my business like a business and not like a hobby. As much as I have a passion for fashion, as the brats used to say, as much as I'm really passionate about providing good quality, well-fitting clothing for tall women, as much as it's an extension of myself, it's also a business. So if there's a business decision that doesn't make sense logically, financially, economically, that is not based on data, I don't make that decision. Because there have been decisions I've made in the past based on emotions instead of data that have ended up not working out, and then I feel bad about myself because I know I made that based on my own perceptions. So for example, if the data states that this product will do well because this, that, if it doesn't work out, it's based on the data. If I make a decision that is based on my own emotions, it doesn't work out, I then blame myself. It's really important to take as much potential blame off yourself as possible, especially if you know the kind of person you are. I know that I'm quite an emotional person, especially when it comes to fashion and my passion for fashion or whatever, and so I have to be super, super careful to protect myself and protect my mental health and my heart, to make sure that I make decisions based on data, because this is not a hobby, it's a business I'm trying to grow. I don't say business, it's a business I'm trying to grow and try to make profit from, to reinvest and hopefully be able to work on this full time and be able to provide my customers with everything that I want to and more, but I have to be so careful to not take things personally and make decisions based on data. This is anything from making business decisions to answering customer feedback and things like that. If someone says that I don't like this and that, it's not that they don't like me, it's that they don't like this and that, you know? So just kind of protect your heart and don't take things personally. And I guess the third thing that I've put in place is, again, back to my first video, is the community I have. I'm in quite a few group chats and talking to other fashion business owners and being like, oh my day, this is so crap, blah, blah, blah. How are you dealing with that? They're like, oh, I'm doing this and that. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not alone. I'm not insane. Especially when you're scrolling through social media, you now see everyone's doing like amazing and you think, I'm not doing as great. You don't feel bad about yourself. And there's a designer I follow that I absolutely adore. She said, it's funny how people write autobiographies after they've made it. They're not writing autobiographies when they have two cents in their bank account and the thing hasn't sold. They're not writing things when they've gone bankrupt for the third time. They're not doing interviews then. They do interviews after they made it. And it's amazing how everything is sensationalized and rose tinted when you're looking back in hindsight, but at that moment it's really crap. It's not great. You feel like absolute shit, and then you look back in 10 years time and you're like, oh wow, that wasn't that bad because this led to that and that. So it's really important to have a community of people that are at the same level as you, a bit higher, and also with that kind of thing where you're comparing yourself to yourself, but also just knowing that you're not alone, you're not insane, what you're going through is completely and utterly normal. Nothing is easy. Nothing is straightforward. There's always risk. Entrepreneurship is risk. And like I mentioned earlier on, entrepreneurship is like jumping off a cliff and building a plane on your way down. You're taking that risk. You decide to take that risk. And ultimately, it's a risk. Nothing is certain in entrepreneurship. Nothing is certain in life, to be honest. So it's really important to just calm yourself down. Stay calm, stay collected. You've got this. And if you want it, you will make it work. And I truly do believe that. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Even though this is the end of season 1 on the YouTube channel, I don't know what's going on. On this YouTube channel, I will still be posting every single day on Instagram, tips and tricks and things I've learned. And I will be back as soon as possible. I will let you guys know. As I said at the beginning, I want you guys to learn business with me. I'm going through a massive transitional period with my brand. So once that's done, I'll be able to share what I've learned along the way. But for now, season 1 is done. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and share this with someone you think will find it useful. And I will see you guys on Instagram. Bye.